Hello book besties, welcome back to my channel. I'm finally putting out a book review video full of recent reads. It's been a while and I apologize for that. This is not a single month's wrap up, this is just some recent reads. Some of them from March, some of them from April. I just have a whole stack of books here to review for you guys. Before I do that though, I do ask that you be kind and you be respectful. If you're not, I'm going to delete your comment because we are all entitled to our own reading tastes, our own book opinions. I am very, very kind even if I dislike a book, so I ask for kindness in return, please. I might not say the things that you want me to say, I might not agree with your opinion on a book, but I'm not coming at you, so please be kind to me too. I think a few of these reviews might totally surprise you, and as usual I will save my favorite of this stack for last. Let's get into it. First up is Expiration Dates. I read this book because, first of all, a friend picked it off of my TBR for me to read, and it's another friend of mine's favorite book. It was her highest romance recommendation. I hate to say it, but this book was just not it for me. I do humbly admit that it is probably a me problem. It's about a woman named Daphne who has always gotten these like little slips of paper that tell her how long her next relationship is gonna last. You're covering a lot of ground with her. A lot of dating has occurred and she kind of relies on these slips of paper to be completely factual. Finally, she ends up with a slip of paper as she is going on a blind date and there's no end. So obviously she's gonna assume this is the one for her, and so it's a story of her just navigating these things. Ultimately, to me, it was a story about how whatever our perspective is on a situation, it could alter and affect like how we live our life, rather than letting life just kind of run its course and lead you and like trusting the process. Honestly, for all of that, I think that the story was done well, but I sincerely hate to say it, but I really don't like this author's writing style. This is now the second book that I've tried from her. Her writing style just kind of annoys me, and I don't even know why. I can't express why. You know when you open a book and immediately you're like, yes, this author's writing style is made for me. And then there's this that even if you're like ultimately like, I get the story, it was fine, you just don't connect. And so I do sadly think that this author is gonna be a auto pass for me from now on. The only other book of hers that I do have on my shelf is, I think it's called In 5 Years. I'm hesitant to say like, oh, if you loved that book, please let me know if I should read it, because there's plenty of people that loved other books from her, including this one, and I still just don't, and so I think I'm just gonna unhaul that book because I do think it's a writing style issue. And there's just too many books I actually want to read and authors I actually love, and so I'm sad to say this was probably like a 3-star for me because, again, the story was okay, but I just couldn't love it, and I'm so sorry to my friends that love this one. The next book is one that I was so excited to read because I never saw anyone talking about it and it sounded like my kind of a book, and that is Wolf King. I was recommended this one by Amazon and immediately yes. Anything that gives me like vampires, werewolves, Twilight vibes, I'm going to read. And so this one was about a Princess Aurora who gets taken by this tribe of wolves as what originally was meant to be like a bargaining tool for the evil king. Obviously there's a lot of betrayals and secrets and all the things. However, she ends up falling in love with the guy, the wolf rather, who kidnapped her. Part of it is that she kind of went willingly as well. She didn't really love her life. She wanted the adventure. Typical princess vibes, right? This one was fun. It felt kind of unique. I liked the characters. I liked the world. I'm considering continuing with the series because there ends up being a little bit of a love triangle, and if you've been here for 5 seconds, you know that love triangles are kind of my thing. I just really, really enjoy them. I think I might continue. However, it did contain a few more open door scenes and just kind of that like R-rated content than I prefer. I guess if you're totally fine with spice and you love like werewolf things and fantasy and love triangles, then this is definitely a book for you. It ended up being like 3.75 stars for me. Like I said, it was not a bad book. It does end on a cliffhanger. There are some like major things that I'm speculating for book 2, which is why I'm like, oh, I really do want to read book 2 because I have guesses on where it's going, but we'll see. We'll see if I end up doing it. And next, on the note of very R-rated books, was Wildside by Elsie Silver. This one came out in March. I read it immediately. It's not my favorite of the Rose Hill series. I still stand by book 2 being the best book in that series. This was fun. It has a wrestler character, which was a really cool dynamic because I was definitely in the generation of children that grew up on WWF and WWE and all of those things, and so I really liked that aspect of the book. In the Rose Hill series, they're all a like single father or single parent type of trope. I enjoyed that part of it. However, the romance did not do it for me. I feel like this whole video is just gonna be me going, the book wasn't bad, I'm the problem. I love her characters. I enjoy a lot of her storylines, but the spice is extreme in her books. It is not easily skippable. And then I finally read Nora Goes Off Script. This has been on my TBR for so long. I've officially read all of Annabelle Monaghan's books until we do get a new one at the end of May. This one as well was probably just like a 3.5 for me. I think had I not read more books from her, it would have rated higher, but I think this was her first book. And so I kind of read her books backwards, and I can definitely see where her writing has improved. So I just didn't like love this book as much as I think other people do. Again, I feel like this is just turning into a whole wrap up of me disliking people's favorite books, but here we are. But I did like the book. It just didn't have anything that made me like, oh my gosh, I love the book. You've got Nora, who's a single mom. I did really like that aspect of it. How she ended up in the situation she was in was like power to the female. I appreciated that. I really understood Nora as a character and kind of her strength. She wasn't all bent out of shape at the end of her relationship and was very capable of standing on her own 2 feet and being like, you know what, I'm moving forward and I'm gonna make the life that I dream of. And I loved that about Nora. So she's a screenwriter and they're coming to her home to film her own movie. And of course the heartthrob of Hollywood is the actor. And then he just ends up wanting to stay there to basically like run from his own life for a season and just have like a break and fly under the radar. Of course, a little bit of a romance develops between Nora and Leo. And it really was sweet. Like now that I'm talking about it, I'm like, I think it actually was a 4-star book for me. It was just such an unlikely scenario. I want to feel like they're humans and this is just kind of an impossible situation. So it was a fun read, but definitely not a real human experience type of a book. But it was good and I would recommend it. Next was one of my most anticipated books of the entire year, Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. Abby is an auto-buy author for me. I love her so much. I love her books. And this one surely did not disappoint. I am landing at 4.5 stars for it. I'm sad that it wasn't 5 stars, but I will explain. So you have Xavier, who's a vet and so swoony, and then Samantha, who was just such a awesome female character. Abby always writes the best characters. I loved the aspect with all the animals and him being a vet. As a huge animal lover myself, that was a win for me. Such a highlight of the story. And then another aspect of the story that I've never read in a book before and I was very, very intrigued by. It was also the biggest highlight of the story for me was a family member with dementia. Navigating that and what that looks like for the family that's caring for this sickness. I love learning more about actual human experiences. That was probably my favorite part of the book, which leads me to the fact that the romance was the least favorite part of the book for me. It wasn't that they weren't cute, like out the gate it was adorable. Like their first date was one of the most fun first dates ever and really came out strong. But then the book started for me to feel very repetitive. I felt like we got the same dialogue over and over and over again about like, we want to be together but we live far away and we can't solve this conundrum. So it just couldn't be a 5-star. However, I did really enjoy it and it is still a 4.5 star, which is still very high. One of the most random books that I read recently was I Know What You Did Last Summer. I picked this one up because my friends were in town visiting. We're out book shopping and my friend was like, I loved this book. This book like changed my life. And I'm sitting here as a 90s baby thinking, are you kidding me? I didn't even know that that movie was a book, but it was. The book is vastly different. Like I read the author's notes at the end and even she said when I was watching that movie, I was like, what is happening? That is not my story. So even if you read the movie, even if you watched the movie, the book is quite different. I think I'm only giving it like 3 stars, which I'm just here to offend people today because this again was one of my friend's favorite books ever. It was very YA and I'm not very big on books that read really YA. So once again, this is just me, but it was a fun book. It was interesting. It's super short, which was why I picked it up when she was here, because I was like, I'm just in the mood for a thriller that's gonna suck me in and I could read in like a day or two. If you don't know the storyline, basically there is an accident. It's very like Pretty Little Liars style in the sense that these 4 friends try to keep secret what happened until a year later they start getting notes and things start happening where someone clearly knows and saying, I know what you did last summer and you're gonna pay for it. So it's all the mystery of like what actually happened and who is this person that somehow knows and is threatening them. So the mystery part of it was really good. Yeah, so 3 stars for me, but fun thriller summer type of book if you're looking for that. And in April, my Patreon read The Rose Bargain. This was a book that when it was coming out earlier in the year, I was so excited to read. It had a lot of buzzwords for me. You have Ivy, who is entering into a competition vying for the prince's heart. The queen is Fae. So it's like this bridging of Fae and humans in a Bridgerton vibes type of setting with competitions that are very Fae and fantasy style. So it was like a really cool blend of multiple different things that I really enjoy. Plus the love triangle yet again. She is vying for the hand of the prince, but she's befriending and kind of working with and scheming with the brother. And it was so good. Oh my gosh, that part of it was so good. This was not 5 stars for me. I think it's like 4.25. There was some parts in it that I just did not like. The end had my jaw dropped, but one of my favorite parts of this story was the friendship. And I don't want to say too much because I don't want to be spoilery, but obviously these girls were pitted against each other. And you would think they're gonna just hate each other and be so evil and so cruel. The author did such a good job of sharing each of their stories, so you kind of got to know each of the girls. If you need a good story on friendship and how to be a good friend, especially as a female, to be kind and patient with one another, and even if you don't really like the other person, you can still be kind. So good in this book. There was one very mild open door scene. You almost like literally could have missed it. So I would still say that it was YA. Just a few more books. In March, my Patreon read First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. This was a Sleepless in Seattle inspired type of book, which made me very excited. The nostalgic girly in me was thrilled to read this book, and it was enjoyable. You have Aiden, who is a talk show host and quite miserable. He is not thriving in life. He has kind of become a grump and a little bit of a recluse, but then Lucy's daughter calls in and unfolds this entire plot where they're basically publicly getting Lucy on air to date and try to find her special someone. I really loved the premise of the story that Lucy's learning love doesn't have to be glamorous. Love is in the everyday moments and choosing someone. That was my favorite part of this book. It was cute, it was swoony. The banter and their friendship that then formed into a romance was really sweet. Again, I think I'm giving this like 3.5, 3.75 stars. It felt a little bit forgettable. I know that happens a lot with rom-coms, that like even if you enjoyed it, it's pretty forgettable. So anyways, this is just another one that, yes, I enjoyed it. Not a favorite, not gonna be ranked very high. I'm realizing that like all of these books, I'm like, I enjoyed, but they're just not favorites. But we're getting there. There was at least one gold book in the midst of all these books that were just okay for me. Next is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I am not one of the people, of the many, who liked The Dead Romantics, and so I never planned on reading another Ashley Poston again, but again, a friend of mine, this is like her favorite romance ever, and I just see hype for this one everywhere, and so I was like, you know what, I will try another one of her books, we'll see how this goes, and it didn't disappoint. It definitely was better than I expected it would be. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was short, it was sweet, it was easy to read. You're following Clementine, who is very close to her aunt. Her aunt's apartment has this magical ability of putting you 7 years in the past. She moves into her aunt's apartment and there's a man in there, and so unfolds this whole storyline of like right person, wrong timing. She's like getting to know him in a totally different timeline. I think that it was such clever writing. It wasn't written in a way that made no sense. It was actually written so well that I understood it and it made sense. I was totally here for it. I was totally invested in them. And when they encounter each other in like present day, I love how that was navigated, and just so many really great human lessons in this book. I'm giving this one 4.25 because there were, again, just some aspects of it that I didn't like. I do recommend it though if you haven't tried it. The hype around it is very, very real, and I do think it was a good book. Now for the book that was my favorite of all of these recent reads. This is probably just as shocking to me as it's going to be shocking to you, and that is Lightark. I loved this book. I'm disappointed to say that even though it's my favorite, it was not 5 stars. So like of all these books, I did not have a single 5-star book, but 4.5, which I know is the same rating as some of these other books, but this one's just the standout for me right now. It's crazy to me because I almost didn't even read this book because people were genuinely like, they either love it or hate it, which actually that intrigues me to read a book even further. But the people that hate it, like, they're very convincing on never reading this book. But I really, really wanted to try it for myself. I think the cover just totally intrigued me because the synopsis did not intrigue me. It was totally a cover thing, and then the like mix of hype and not hype. I'm just so glad I read it. It was unique. It was fun. The love triangle. If you love a love triangle, do not sleep on this book. This is the type of love triangle that like, I don't even know who I'm cheering for. And that is a perfect love triangle. I mean, I do think I know who I'm rooting for. It's always the like gray character, but I genuinely like the other character too. And oh my gosh, like just this storyline, just, it fed me. I was sat for this book. It was atmospheric. It was unique. I know I already said that. It's been compared to Hunger Games, but I did not personally get those vibes. To me, it was so different from Hunger Games, and I went into it expecting that. Each of these people are like coming together because someone needs to die in order to save the entire realm. So there's this like question of who to trust. It was very, very fantasy driven in the world, but it was easy to understand. Guys, I just really loved this book. I'm shocked that I loved it. I wasn't even done with this book and I already ordered book 2. I can't wait to start it. I really hope the plot and like the love triangle and things like that just continue to sort themselves out. There's so much that you're left with at the end of this of like, oh my gosh, what is gonna happen? Definitely the best of all of these books that I read. And that is a wrap, guys. Thank you for bearing with me in this video, despite the fact that I didn't necessarily rave about a lot of these and had very unique opinions about them. If I did not like one of the books that you loved, I apologize. I hope that you have had more 5 stars than I have had recently. I just hope my next wrap up, I'm a little bit more excited about the books that I read. Thank you though so much for watching. If you have not hit subscribe yet, please consider hitting that subscribe button and sticking around. I do hope that your books are amazing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Go read a book.